These days, having versatile clothing you can wear anywhere is a must. That's why American Giant makes all sorts of versatile any-weather staples, hoodies, jackets, and more. Whether you're buying a gift or stocking your closet, you'll find just what you need. And it's all made right here in the USA. Find your new wardrobe staples at american-giant.com and get 20% off your order when you use code ANYSTYLE24 at checkout. That's 20% off at american-giant.com. Promo code ANYSTYLE24.
Hola Florida, ¿te imaginas explorando la ciudad y ganando dinero con un auto espectacular? En Buggy convierten tus sueños en realidad. Ofrecen carros asombrosos, listos para rentar y perfectos para triunfar en plataformas como Uber y similares. Con Buggy disfrutas de millas ilimitadas, mantenimiento incluido y soporte 24/7. Y eso no es todo. Sus planes son tan accesibles y flexibles que prácticamente se pagan solos en cuanto empieces a rodar. En Buggy te empoderan para que tomes el control total. Tú decides tus horas y ganas a tu propio ritmo. Así que basta de excusas. Es hora de vivir tus sueños y ganar a lo grande. Únete a Buggy y acelera tu camino hacia la libertad financiera. En Buggy ofrecen carros asombrosos, listos para rentar y perfectos para triunfar en plataformas como Uber y similares. Mantenimiento incluido y soporte 24/7. Emprende el viaje con Buggy hoy y mejora tu vida.
Welcome to 3 Yards Per Carry, a podcast covering the Miami Dolphins and the NFL. Now, here's your hosts, Chris, Alf, and Simon.
And we're on, and this is, oh my God, we're here, Chris. It's show Armageddon.
It felt like Armageddon to get here.
Yeah, it's the game to end all games. Like, we wanted to get here and have this game, be kind of like a preseason game, We just sit back, enjoy Chris Brooks running the football, Mike White throwing 35 passes. By the way, he's on the injury report. How is that possible?
I was going to say, Mike White's not going to go throw 35 passes in this preseason Week 18 game if he's injured, apparently.
Yeah, so, but, let's not cry over spilled milk or spilled Titans games.
Oh, God. That's the difference.
Yes, that's the difference. Yeah, we would have been sitting here, with our feet up and our thumb up our ass watching this game, not caring, not having a care in the world.
Well, I don't know about the thumb up my ass, but, I still would have been sitting here.
Yeah, but no, it's Armageddon. We win, 2 seed, and, everything's rosy. You lose, you're going to Kansas City, pretty much. Okay? Although,
which, if you really think about it, not that bad.
No, it's not that bad, but still, you want to be home, okay? And you want the soft landing spot through the playoff, the soft escalator ride right to Baltimore again.
Yeah, some people are always like, no, I want to face the team at their best. I want the hardest schedule.
Screw those people. Who the hell are those people?
I tell those people to just go screw themselves, because I would rather just be in the Super Bowl and then, let the chips fall where they may in the Super Bowl. Get me there. Get me to the show. We'll figure it out.
I always like breaking down on the way to Orlando when I'm driving. You know what I mean? It makes me feel good.
You should have to walk it uphill through the snow.
Yeah, it always makes me feel good. I have to go stop and have the car fixed, and maybe have to have a layover in Clearwater or something. Who the hell are these people? I want to face them all. No, you don't.
No, not really.
They're not worth anything more. Okay,
I'd rather just win the championship, and then you never have to apologize for winning a Super Bowl.
If you end up beating the Minnesota Vikings in the Super Bowl, they don't put it on the trophy. Hey, you beat the Minnesota Vikings with like Josh Dobbs or something at quarterback. Is he even there still?
I don't know. He might be. I mean, is he in space? He's a rocket scientist.
I think Nick Mullins is starting the game on Sunday for them again.
God, I bet they'd like to shoot him off into space.
Okay, so trust me when I tell you, when they hand you the Lombardi, they don't say, you know what, we're gonna have to carve on this Lombardi that you had it easy in the playoffs.
Asterisk.
Asterisk. You played the Colts in the first round. How good is this Lombardi? Really.
No kidding.
Although that they're going to use that as an argument against Tua the following season, right? Right.
No matter what. I mean, if we come out with if the dream happens, and I'm not expecting this, but if the dream happens and Miami wins, there's going to be people that are trying to asterisk that.
Oh, of course. Oh, absolutely. People are already debating whether you give him a contract or not. Like,
Yeah.
like it's an actual negotiation. There is no negotiation, people. Okay, you're gonna open
Yeah.
up a checkbook. He's gonna be a very, very rich man.
It's going to be at least $50 million for all the new years in the contract.
Yes, it's gonna be a lot of money. This show, as always, is brought to you by Factor Meals. You can go to factormeals.com/3 yards per carry 50. We have a dedicated page over there, and it's the number 3 yards per carry 50. And you use that promo code 3 yards per carry 50, and you get 50% off your entire order. As always, Prize Picks. Go to prizepicks.com/3 yards. Also, the number 3 yards, and you use the promo code 3 yards. You deposit $100, you get $100. As always, Black Coral Rum, a rum that is distinctly Florida. If you want to learn more, go to steeltiespirits.com. All right.
How much of that did you drink after that Ravens game?
Well, I was drinking during the Ravens game, and then I had to replenish because remember it was the 31st. So I knew I was going to drink myself into a stupor that night, right? So
Of course.
So I drank a few Gatorades after the game, and I reflected a little bit.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Are you trying to tell me right now, Alf, that game was so awful that you intentionally tried to sober up after it?
Yes. I tried to sober up so then I could get really, really drunk afterwards.
That is the worst.
Yeah,
that is some self-punishment right there.
Yeah. So I had a Gatorade. I had a bottle of water, I'm not sure if I had a soda or not, but yeah, I tried to sober up after that.
I think we were all punishing ourselves after that game.
Yeah. Well, we're going to start here. It's, my God, what a game. It's winner take all. It's the end of the world. Depending on the report, on which report, we have about 15 to 20 million Buffalo Bills fans coming to South Florida. I think we're rebuilding the stadium and adding on like 20 or 30,000 seats to accommodate them all. I don't know if you've watched all these stories.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I think all of Buffalo actually moved down to Miami for the game.
Yeah, every single one of them. Like, there's not going to be a single Dolphin fan inside the stadium, so it's going to be loud. So the Dolphins are going to have to work on the communication issues.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, but I spent the better part of this afternoon looking at this Buffalo Bills offense, and we're going to start here when the Dolphins are on defense. And I don't know, maybe I watched the wrong games, Chris. Okay, but I came away kind of confident. Problem is, I watched them against the Chargers on the road and at home against the Patriots. And really?
They barely escaped in that Chargers game with Justin Herbert out, by the way. Easton Stick as the quarterback. They barely escaped that with the win. I watched that one all the way through too. And that's a tough one for us. We wanted them to lose, but just barely skating by against that team, and then just barely skating by against the Patriots. That's not a good look.
Yeah, they skated by the Patriots after Zappe had 5 turnovers, including 3 turnovers inside the 30-yard line.
Yeah,
one was a pick 6.
It's sort of weird too, because to me, the Patriots would normally be the sort of safer team, execution oriented team that just that doesn't do exactly what they did, and that sort of team has actually been a tough nut for Buffalo to crack this year. A team plays really just run the ball, play some defense, kind of just conservative, don't make mistakes, that sort of thing. They often lure the Buffalo Bills into making a bunch of mistakes of their own, and then it just the game can kind of get away from them. And but then the Patriots nearly beat them, even though they were throwing the ball to the Buffalo Bills as often as they were throwing the ball to the New England Patriots. So it's weird.
Yeah, one thing that I observed, and they do this, and I don't understand why they do this, and personally, I think it's kind of useless. They use David Edwards, who's a backup guard, tackle, whatever he is, and they put him at the end of the line. And it's not like they're doing it at the goal line to bring, some extra beef or an extra offensive lineman to run the football in, but they do it like in the middle of the field, and they'll throw the ball, which kind of begs the question: just leave that guy uncovered. And when they run the ball, they try to use it as leverage. They try to run to his side where they have the extra offensive lineman. I don't understand why they do it. I don't see the why it works. Your thoughts on it? Because Dolphin fans are going to see it.
Yeah, they're going to see it because they use it. This is not some small thing. They use it like upwards of 15 times a game. If you look at it, it's mostly all run plays, but run blocking. But yeah, I mean they do use this, and it's sixth offensive lineman as a tight end is not new, but still, it's a curious. It's going to be a curious formation or personnel grouping for the Buffalo Bills in particular, because if you think about what Miami has lost with both Jalen Phillips and Bradley Chubb, they might be. You could argue that the Buffalo Bills could line up heavy and bring the Miami Dolphins into their true 3-4, type of personnel and formationing, and then just beat up on Miami. And a sixth offensive lineman like David Edwards would be the sort of resource that you would use to do that. So I guess it is something to watch out for. You don't want them getting James Cook going. That's exactly what the Buffalo Bills would want, because they don't want to live by the roulette wheel that is Josh Allen, and he is a roulette wheel, right? They want to get James Cook going, and so they're gonna use stuff like this, heavy formations, to do it.
Now, when the Dolphins are on defense, and we're talking about the Bills' offense here, they just lost Bradley Chubb. He's gone for the year. He'll be back sometime next season. You're not going to replace him. Like, there's just no way you can replace a guy who is likely to be the team's defensive MVP. But you could try to recreate him somehow. How do they begin to do that, and with who?
That's a tough one, because if you think about it, a lot of it's going to depend on whether Jerome Baker plays. They've opened up his practice window. He's practiced two practices in a row, though he's been limited for both. But that with Miami and the way that they practice, that doesn't necessarily mean anything. Mike McDaniel did sound optimistic on him. I say that I bring him up because he has experience and he can play like a right outside linebacker. He can execute a speed rush, which can be important as a right outside linebacker. Depending on the exact formation and the situation. But he can do that. He can execute that. If you think about what's his name, Barrett Browning, or which Browning was it in Denver? That
Baron Browning, I believe.
Baron Browning. If you think about him and what he can do sometimes, and did under Vic Fangio and similar defenses, they can use him like that, or they can use Jerome Baker like that if he's playing. Otherwise, I would have thought that Emmanuel Ogbah jumps up to the main guy, with Melvin Ingram still acting in a sub role, in a sub relief role. Because I don't think you want to throw too much at a Melvin Ingram, having just gotten to the roster late in the year. Not really. I don't know how good football shape he was in. I do know that he didn't have a great game last week.
No, he was bad.
Yeah,
but he was pretty good against the Cowboys in his limited snaps. So
right, and so you wonder already if sort of the clock, because he hasn't been playing all year, and so how much are you going to get out of him? But it sounded like, from Vic Fangio's own words, though, that he does regard Melvin Ingram to be more well-rounded, versatile as an outside linebacker. And so that does make me pause a little bit and make me rethink, maybe they will have a 50-50 snap share there, depending on whether Baker's back or not. I don't know. I don't know, but it is going to be Ogbah. It's going to be Melvin Ingram, and maybe Jerome Baker.
And Cam Good has found himself getting some snaps here as of late. Got a few against the Cowboys, showed up against the Ravens. My assessment is that he can play in the 50 fronts. That's essentially their 52 fronts. When you play Raekwon, both defensive tackles, Sealer and Wilkins, and you play AVG on the other side, and you can play Cam Good on the weak side. Off the ball, I just don't see it off the ball, but I think he could play in that role. Your assessment on Cam Good, can he contribute in that role?
I get worried about him. When I saw him play, and I was paying attention to him a little bit, I thought that he could be a liability on snaps, particularly when you've got to make him track multiple things, when you've got to make him track, screens or balls to the outside and things like that. I'd be worried. I think that Agba, for as many misgivings as I think Vic Fangio has with him, Melvin Ingram, even with him only having just got here a couple weeks ago, if Jerome Baker goes out there, I think that those are the guys that you're going to want to lean on more than a Cam Good. We'll also see, frankly, whether the Dolphins exhibit some of their same tendencies that they have all year on defense this week, because I have a feeling that, with the injuries and the things that have happened, they're probably going to change some things about what they do. And I don't know if they're going to be wild changes, but there are some changes that are even say for example that they do travel Jalen Ramsey on Stephon Diggs. Well, that changes your coverage, right? And that changes what kind of coverages you do. And if that changes your coverage, your defensive front can change too. Your defensive front and your front seven play can change structurally if you're operating different coverages, a lot more man coverages, for example, because you're going to have to account for Josh Allen. If you're doing more man coverages, which is what you will have to do when you travel a Jalen Ramsey on Stephon Diggs, then you have a lot more on that defensive front to contain Josh Allen, right?
Yeah.
And so, that may necessitate a change in the defensive and the defensive structure, the defensive front. So we'll see.
Yeah, and that's going to bring us to the question that's on everybody's mind, and everybody's just talking about it. Xavier Howard has some type of exotic arch injury on his foot, which means he's not going to play. And we've gotten into this little routine with Coach Mike McDaniel, where if he says week to week, then he's out. But if he says day to day, then you got a shot.
If he says day to day, he's still probably out.
Yeah, but you got a shot. It's a possibility.
Yeah.
Well, Xavier Howard is week to week, so he's not playing in this game, which
I would be frankly shocked and pleasantly surprised for multiple reasons. If you catch my drift, if we see Xavier Howard for the rest of this season, if we do, it's because we got pretty far in the playoffs, possibly in the Super Bowl. I would not hit this week to week. Remember that Robert Hunt has been week to week since week 13?
Since the Commanders game. So,
since the Commanders game in week 13.
Yeah.
So, I mean, again, when I heard about this, it did not sound good. And they have had second opinions and done more scans and whatnot on it since then. So I'm not saying that, first impressions are always correct. I just happen to think it's probably not good. And maybe they'd like to just keep it in the opposing team's mind.
Yeah. Whenever you hear arch injury, you go right to plantar fasciitis. And if you remember, the last guy that tried to play with it was a quarterback, very famously Eli Manning, and he was falling all over himself and in pain like 2 weeks later. That's a 1 month injury, period.
Yeah. And that's kind of how I regard Xavier Howard's injury right now is more of a 1 month injury than a 1 month injury is technically week to week, but it's not month to month necessarily. But yeah, so I don't know. I take with a grain of salt when they're talking about Xavier Howard.
Now, everybody's been asking, well, okay, I guess that means Jalen Ramsey's traveling with Stephon Diggs. My response was this. I won't have him necessarily travel with Stephon Diggs, but he would absolutely travel with Stephon Diggs and Gabe Davis, meaning he would play every single snap of this game on either one of those two guys. I would not allow the Bills to use their alignment or formation to get Jalen Ramsey on Dalton Kincaid or Khalil Shakir or anybody else. When he's lined up, if there's a Gabe Davis on that side, that's his man. If there's a Stephon Diggs on his side, that's his man. I think that's the way I would play it. I wouldn't necessarily have him travel with Stephon Diggs everywhere because that could cause some issues. Because personally, if I'm calling that game, if I'm Joe Brady, I'm just gonna stick Stephon Diggs in the slot the entire game. So I would do that. Do you agree with me, or will you do something a little bit different?
This is the game. This is the game. One of the games they clearly already did it earlier this year with the New York Jets game, taking away Garrett Wilson with Jalen Ramsey. This is the game I would do that. This is a game that I would travel Jalen Ramsey and accept the fact that this is going to mean more man coverage. I would rather see when Josh Allen gets going against the Miami Dolphins, it's with his arm. He has been a remarkable passer against the Miami Dolphins, generally speaking. And I realize that if you're playing a lot more man, then you run the risk if he escapes your contain, then it's tough to get him down. Hey, I'll accept that. I'll accept that all day long. I don't want to give them breathing space in the passing game in terms of coverage. And the best way to not give them breathing space in coverage is to travel Jalen Ramsey on Stephon Diggs, have him do his best to just erase him off the board, right? And then play man coverage for most of the rest of the field, and just try and make things tight. Try and make things tight. Make these guys have Devontae Parker plays on you in order to make some plays and get down the field. Don't give them easy stuff. Josh Allen has often against the Miami Dolphins had easier reads and been able to get the ball to guys in space. And I think that this is the way to go. I think this is the time to break that out. Travel Jalen Ramsey on Stephon Diggs, and you might actually have much better luck baiting Josh Allen into the sort of bad game that we know he can have if you do that. So this is it. This is the moment.
Yeah, watching him more, and this is, and we're going to break here in a second after this. Watching him the last few weeks, he's doing much more with his legs, and it's imperative. Now, here's the issue. You would think, okay, let's devote resources to a spy. There's ways you could do that, okay? And you could do it by formation. But Dalton Kincaid has become a weapon on this team. And if you start doing an inventory of what the Dolphins have on defense, they're going to have to devote a lot of Javon Holland to Dalton Kincaid. You agree, right? Like that's his man.
Especially playing man coverage. Yeah.
So that's his man in this game.
Yeah.
Okay. So then,
and this has the benefit. Alf, you've been complaining a lot, especially on OnlyFans, our Discord channel, about the game that several players had against the Baltimore Ravens. Most notably Javon Holland in his first game back from injury.
Yeah, he was god awful. He was god awful,
yeah.
And to be honest with you, it doesn't. It kind of gives me a little confidence because I know he can play. Yeah. He's not that guy. That was one of the worst players in football in the NFL.
Well, and afterwards he talked about it. He said he was seeing too much when he needed to see a little, and things like that. Listen, how do you simplify things a little bit and get players back to playing fast and playing competitively? This is one way that you do it. Play a lot more man coverage. And so I know that Vic Fangio has not been a man coverage guy, but he will whip it out. Language. But I think that I think that this could be just an all around good option for the Dolphins, because you know what, I think Javon Holland can play man coverage on Dalton Kincaid. I'm not afraid of that. If you simplify things down. So, and then you just got to worry about the rub routes and stuff like that. But we've also seen that, the NFL can be aggressive about calling the offensive pass interference, and too aggressive at times, right? I mean, we benefited from one call last week against the Ravens, and then they called Cedric Wilson for an offensive pass interference for essentially just running in a straight line, running his route. And so if they're going to be more aggressive about those about calling those pick plays, then all the more reason to line these guys against each other and just remind them, hey, we have the horses here. We have strong players on the defense still. Go up and win.
All right, and last thing before we go to break. James Cook has been a catalyst to a lot of their wins in this winning streak. Would you expect a heavier 50 front or back to those 2-4-5 fronts that Fangio has been famous for? One or the other. I think we could be brief on this one.
That's a tough one because it depends a lot on what Buffalo is going to be expected to do from a personnel standpoint. If the Buffalo Bills are bringing out heavier personnel, which I think they could, because I wonder how vulnerable Miami's base personnel package is right now. If they do, then that answers your question for you, really. So I think that it's going to be interesting. I think that you could see a little more mixed in with like underfronts and things like that. I think you could see four down fronts and such. So we'll see.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. This game, in my opinion, and we're going to go to break on this. In my opinion, this game is in the hands of Zach Sealer and Christian Wilkins. They play well, they win. I think it's as simple as that. All right, we're going to go to break. And when we come back, we're going to talk about when the Dolphins have the ball. But first, these words. Let me tell you about PrizePicks. PrizePicks is the largest daily fantasy sports platform in North America. We are the easiest and most exciting way to play DFS. It's just you against the numbers. Instead of battling thousands of other players, including pros and sharks, you pick more than or less than on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. And now it's time to make Monday night and Thursday night football much more interesting. And with basketball season here, you can now pick combo projections across football and basketball from the Specials League, a league created specifically for combo projections that include 2 or more players from different sports or leagues. For example, can you imagine taking LeBron James and Travis Kelce over or under 10.5, 3-point field goals made, and receptions? PrizePicks even offers a reboot policy so that your entries stay in play even if one of your players gets injured. For football and basketball games, if you have a player who exits the game in the first half and does not return in the second, that player is rebooted. PrizePicks is the only daily fantasy sports platform with an injury insurance policy. Go to prizepicks.com/3 yards. That's the number 3 yards, and use the promo code 3 yards for a first deposit match up to $100. Again, that's prizepicks.com/the number 3 yards. Use the promo code 3 yards. Deposit $100, you get $100. Let me tell you about Black Coral Rum. It's like capturing the Sunshine State in a glass. But Black Coral Rum isn't just any rum. It's a celebration of Florida's vibrant culture and history. With each sip, you'll be transported to our orange groves, our swaying palm trees, and it's as smooth as the sand beneath your feet. But what truly makes this rum special is the dedication of the locals who craft it. It's made by those who share a deep love of Florida with only Florida ingredients. So if you're looking for something that's distinctly Florida, look no further than Black Coral Rum. Black Coral Rum has 3 flavors. They have spiced rum, which I like with soda. Their white rum, which you can also have with a soda, or their black rum, which you just have on ice. And you could get Black Coral Rum by visiting SteelTieSpirits.com or stopping by the distillery in West Palm Beach. That's SteelTieSpirits.com or stop by the distillery today. Black Coral Rum is made using old world techniques fused with modern technology to deliver the finest product anywhere. Black Coral Rum, it's distinctly Florida.
I have diabetes. I'm at risk for pneumococcal pneumonia. I have asthma. I'm at risk too.
If you're 19 or older with chronic conditions like asthma, diabetes, COPD, or heart disease, or are 65 or older, you are at increased risk for pneumococcal pneumonia. Ask your doctor or pharmacist about Prevnar 20, pneumococcal 20-valent conjugate vaccine, a Pfizer vaccine that can help protect you against pneumococcal pneumonia in just one dose. Even if you've already been vaccinated with other pneumonia vaccines, Prevnar 20 may help provide added protection. Prevnar 20 is approved for adults to help prevent infections from 20 strains of the bacteria that cause pneumococcal pneumonia. Continued approval may depend on a supportive study. Don't get Prevnar 20 if you've had a severe allergic reaction to the vaccine or its ingredients. Adults with weakened immune systems may have a lower response to the vaccine. Side effects include pain and swelling at the injection site, fatigue, headache, muscle, and joint pain. For full prescribing information, please call 1-855-213-2138 or visit Prevnar20.com.
Are you a South Florida property owner with an insurance claim? Are you dealing with water, mold, or fire damage to your home or business? Are you having trouble locating a 5-star rated general contractor that is fully licensed, certified, and insured? If the answer is yes, then Water Cleanup of Florida is here for you 24 hours a day. With over 60 years of combined experience, Michael, Robert, Jorge, and their team is prepared to handle any size property damage disaster. When an unexpected damage occurs to your home or business, you need specialized, fast, and reliable services. Water Cleanup of Florida understands the impact and stress an unexpected disaster may cause. Their objective is to make the cleanup and insurance claim process painless and hassle-free. Water Cleanup of Florida is also a licensed general contractor, so they provide the A to Z service, one-stop shopping that busy homeowners and business owners require. Water Cleanup of Florida is now an authorized dealer of Eurocraft cabinets, so premier kitchen, bath, and laundry cabinetry, countertops, and other accessories are available for your viewing at their showroom in Boca Raton. Or, do you prefer to shop from your home or office? Then Water Cleanup will send you one of our design specialists to you with samples and products that fit your style and budget. Call Michael anytime on his personal cell phone if you have any questions at 954-579-0356. That's 954-579-0356. Or visit their website at wcufl.com. You can follow them on Facebook and Instagram. And please check out their more than 80 5-star reviews on Google and Facebook. Water Cleanup of Florida. If you have the schmutz, they have the guts.
I'm Jalen Phillips, and you're listening to 3 Yards Per Carry.
And we're back. Dolphins are at home. They average like 1 billion points at home. But last time they play a pretty good defense, okay? The Cowboys are pretty damn good. That thing was a slugfest. They kicked 1 million field goals. But I tend to explain field goals as failed touchdown drives. All right? Okay? So I tend to be, look, I don't mind points. I like points. If you keep getting points over and over and over again, every time you go down there, you know, good things tend to happen. But yeah, I look at field goals as failed touchdown drives. Now they did hit 3 50-yarders, which, you know, that's not good. Had they hit a bunch of chippies, then we could sit here saying, you know what, they could have boat raced the Dallas Cowboys, but they didn't. They're gonna have to score points here, unless you think that they can win like some type of 20. Although they did last year. What was it, 21-19?
It was 21-19, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah. So unless you think that they could win some type of slugfest like 21-19 here, man, I'm thinking 4 touchdowns could get this thing done. How do they begin to do it? How do you see this game plan evolving on the offensive end?
Well, you know, I think it's interesting because I still don't think that the Bills are at absolute full strength defensively. I think that still without a Matt Milano, it's a lot tougher. Without a Matt Milano for them, then I'm tempted to say that we're still going to be able to try and test those linebackers. And that's with, you know, obviously Devon Achane. We don't know if Raheem Mostert is actually going to play in this game. He's been a DNP in two days in a row. He's a veteran and, you know, a veteran in the system, so he doesn't need a whole lot. And I was told, you know, that a big part of the reason for last week him missing was because of the traveling, you know, for being on the road and the plane flight and everything like that. So being at home, I would think he's more likely to play. But And if he is, then he's going to have to be a mismatch on those linebackers too. But I think that the game plan is out, and Sean McDermott is more than willing to abide it. Which is, if you look at like how the Ravens played the Dolphins, just keep two safeties back, get your linebackers depth, and play it that way. So how do you beat the Buffalo Bills? You be a lot more patient. And you use those backs underneath and at the line of scrimmage, and then hopefully the game goes your way.
Yeah, they didn't face Rasul Douglas the last time, but there's some history here. He was on Green Bay last year, had a couple of picks, I believe.
Yeah.
On a concussed Tua. If you watch him, he is vulnerable in man. And I saw somebody had.
Oh, he's not fast.
No, he's not. He's actually slow. Like, you can actually say he is actually slow. See it. Man, I would think, and Waddle's trying like hell, and I have faith in him. I don't know if he's going to make it to the game, but he's trying. They have enough to get down the field on these guys. Would you be trying to isolate Rasul Douglas by formation to try to test them deep and make that a big part of your game plan? Because if they have to devote two guys to one guy, namely Tyreek Hill, that's going to open up things for pretty much everybody else.
Well, and that's actually what I'd count on is they are going to do that, and I don't think Jalen Waddle is going to play in this game. So yeah, the Buffalo Bills are going to devote resources to Tyreek Hill. It's a matter of whether, and Miami's answer to devoting those resources to a Tyreek Hill has been to to hit him on in breakers and over the middle, not just utilizing obviously all of the window dressing and the motions, stuff like that they've done, and as we saw with the Ravens, depth with the linebackers can defeat that, right? And so that's going to be a big key for the Buffalo Bills. But if the Buffalo Bills are getting their linebackers to deep landmarks, with reckless abandon, more or less, then there's other ways to threaten them. And I would start getting Tyreek Hill into the backfield in that case, stuff like that. So we'll see. Yes, ultimately, you would love to isolate Rasul Douglas. His speed is not good. Tyreek's the fastest man, functionally fastest receiver in the league. Yeah, of course, it sounds great. I just don't know that it's actually able to be done in the way that you want it to. They have Daquan Jones back, I noticed, up front, and he has been a big player when he was healthy earlier in the year. But if he's not playing particularly well yet, as a pass rusher, particularly, then if you're Miami, you might have some time to try and get Tyreek Hill running really across the entire field, like crossing routes, going all the way from right to left, and that's the sort of thing that can help you defeat, expose slow speed first off, and then also defeat the sort of safety help that they'll probably have on him.
Now, if Waddle's not available, which at this point seems likely, although, like I said, he's going to try to give it a shot.
He'll try, but
who do you expect can show up and step up in his stead? Because the more I watch Robbie Chosen, here's the good news. Okay, he's still fast. He's a good-looking, long athlete. Like, he gets down the field quickly. But I'm not sure he knows what he's doing. Like sometimes there's no rhyme or reason to what Robbie Chosen is doing. Like, sometimes he's running a go route outside of the numbers. Sometimes he's running it inside the numbers, and I don't know like what they would prefer. But we know that Cedric Wilson he's not slow, but he's not Robbie Chosen. He's not Chase Claypool as far as speed. Is it as simple as just playing Achane and Tyreek on opposite sides of the formation and have them run stressful routes on the safeties?
I think that you're going to want to. I wonder, and we'll see how it pans out. But I think that you're going to want to keep some of your more dangerous weapons a little tighter to the formation in this one, possibly in the backfield, and we'll again we'll see how it plays out. But that's my gut instinct here. I think though that they did show something last week with Chase Claypool and how they might think about using him. They have been trying to ramp him up, over the last couple of weeks, and it's been slowly building. And it kind of culminated in that big deep ball that obviously he dropped in the end zone. It didn't work out, but I don't think that will result in a loss of confidence. If anything, it was so close and it was so nearly there that it might only embolden them about Chase Claypool. So I know that, this seems like almost like a broken record because, hey, we're going to get Claypool more involved. Seriously. No, we're really serious this time.
Yeah, you just got to see Tua throw it, right? And we saw him throw it, and we know Tua's a confidence guy.
Oh, that was a trust ball, man. Like
yes.
he threw that. There were two guys there. There are two guys there, and I wouldn't necessarily call it, like two guys really well covered, like double covered fully. But yeah, he threw it. He threw a trust ball up to him, and the guy, I don't know, damn near had it.
All right. Last thing before we give our predictions. The common thing, and you'll see it all over Twitter. You'll see it on OnlyFans. And by the way, if you guys want to become a member of OnlyFans, you can go to our Discord. You go to discord.gg/OnlyFans, and it's $3 a month. And we see it there all the time. Just run the ball. And, well, stands to reason. Miami, in games that they've run the ball 26 times or more, they're undefeated. Chris, did you know about that?
Yeah.
So, it's just, all right, enough of all of this crap of playing, your speed or your dangerous guys or stressing safeties. Look, they're going to be in too deep. All right. When you watch the Buffalo Bills play defense, that's what, look, sometimes they'll show you quarters. They'll show you cover three. They'll show you single high. They want to get to too deep. Okay. That's what they do. And that's what they do the most. Your response to those that say, make the whole game plan about just running the football all day.
I welcome it. I welcome it because, obviously you don't want Josh Allen to get going, and the more cracks you get him at the bat, that's the more likely he's gonna hit a home run. So I think that you do yourself a couple of favors by doing that, by executing that game plan. But I also think that, listen, Devon Achane is still, like, he didn't suddenly become another player after he went on an IR and then came back. He didn't have the same space and the same results and production in a few of those games that he did earlier in the year when he was getting like 170 yards and 2 touchdowns a game or something like that. And we just saw last week that this kid, Devon Achane, can still do it. That this guy is, as far as running backs go nowadays, is as close to a superstar as you can get. The more you can get him the ball, the better. And the more ways that you can get him the ball, the better. There were definitely plays out there, at least one of the Tua Tagovailoa interceptions that he threw, trying to hit that deep middle area, even though it was being crowded by deep safeties and deep linebackers. Devon Achane is sitting out there in the flat. Hit him, be patient, let him make a guy miss. I mean, he just eats up that yardage to the first down marker. He eats it up so fast. So yeah, be patient with that. Be patient, get him the ball, run the ball with him a lot, run the ball with Jeff Wilson. I do think that is a good recipe here. If you start trying to play Bills ball, which is to get greedy and to try and do too much like Josh Allen is prone to do. I think that's just the wrong way to go against this team. And so we'll see how it goes on Sunday, but I think that this is a good sign that they're gonna lock into the ground game after the debacle of last week against the Baltimore Ravens, because things got so out of control on them. I think that's probably all the more motivation to do it this week.
All right. Now Mostert doesn't play, and this will be the last question before we go to our predictions. Mostert doesn't play. How do you replace him? Who gets the ball, or is it just the Achane show?
You make it the Achane show so long as he's healthy, right? And it seems like with every tackle, a new injury shows up on the injury report, even if it doesn't mean he's missing a game. So, hey, listen, there's no saving for the return trip at this point. I think that you could make the case that this game isn't really all that important because even if you lose it, you're still in the playoffs. And so the Dolphins know that ultimately the win or die game is not this week, it's next week. It's the week after, because that's the literal playoffs. So you could make that case, but I think that home field for this team in particular is so important that this is sort of a win or die game. If you have championship aspirations, if you just want to win a playoff game for the first time since the Clinton administration, okay, then that's your goal. Then maybe save some for the following week. But at this point, I think you got to push all your chips in the pile, and that means Achane. This is the guy that's averaging like 9-10 yards per carry. For crying out loud. I mean, it's absolutely ludicrous. So yeah, it's got to be his show. I don't know what's up with Mostert. We'll see. What I will say, Alf, though, is that last year, I don't know if you recall, on Twitter and OnlyFans and so on and so forth, I was talking about the wide receivers and how if the Dolphins had Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle on the field and they were getting, this amount on yards per play, just ungodly production. If they had only one of the two on the field, then they were getting a little less. And if they had neither of them on the field, they were getting a little less. Well, this year, that's not really the case. It might surprise people, but that's not really the case. This year, it's actually about the offensive line. This year, it's, do we have 5 starters on the field? Do we have 4 starters on the field? Do we have 3, 2, 1? We've even had 0 starters on the field at various points. And so, when the Dolphins have 4 or more offensive line starters on the field, they're just ungodly productive. And when they have 3, they're still pretty productive and good enough to try and, lead the league in a lot of categories. When they have 2 or less, it's really, a bad deal for them. And so getting Rob Hunt back is going to be a big deal, especially for those running backs and the running game, and hopes to establish that. And if this makes anybody feel better, the lineup combination of Teron Armstead, Liam Eichenberg, Robert Hunt, and Austin Jackson have played, including 33 snaps with Liam Eichenberg at center, specifically, which is going to be in this game. They have played like 33 plays, and they're averaging like nearly 8 yards per play, I think like 0.7 points per play, which is just ludicrous. Over 40% first down rate. I mean, it's really, really good offense. Mostly because it happened a lot in the Denver game and it happened a lot in the following Buffalo Bills game in week 4. But hey, we're playing the Bills now. So we need it to happen, and we need it to happen like that. So if they're getting that offensive line combination back, that could be a bigger boost than maybe some people might be thinking.
All right. Last thing, you mentioned Robert Hunt. It does look good for Robert Hunt to start, which means, he's not going to play left guard. He's going to play right guard. That's his spot, which means you need a new left guard, or you keep Lester Cotton there. You seem to disagree with me a little bit. The way I see it is this way. Okay. Robert Jones got injured in Houston in the preseason playing left guard. And at that point, it was a 2-man race between Isaiah Wynn and Robert Jones, with Liam Eichenberg buried deep in the depth chart. Liam Eichenberg is now the center, so he doesn't figure into this. I think Robert Jones takes over at left guard. And he's a guy that played there last year. He has a lot of starters experience. You kind of feel good running the football with him, especially some gap scheme stuff. I think Robert Jones slides in at left guard. You seem to disagree today earlier on OnlyFans.
Yeah, I don't think the Dolphins are going to, I'll believe it when I see it, because I think the Dolphins are, a little higher on Lester Cotton than maybe some of us might be. But also the trust factor. You have to consider the trust factor with Lester Cotton. This is the guy that they started in the playoffs after having not been with the team, only been with the team for like a month or a couple months or something like that. Like he arrived mid-season and he was already starting in the playoff game and being trusted that way. I don't know that now is the time to get a little bit more chancy and risk a miss execution. That's my gut feeling is, forgetting your landmark, forgetting the snap count, having poor communication with Teron Armstead or Liam Eichenberg on stunts and games and blitzes. You start going in there with a new body and Robert Jones, and maybe it works out because maybe he's just better in the run game and that's what you need in this game. I don't know. But I think it is chancy because we've seen this offense, the way that it gets derailed is mistakes and bad execution. And I think that if you start trying to go now with a different guy that hasn't been playing already there, you're adding one more pain point, one more juncture for things to go wrong. And we'll see how the Dolphins consider it.
All right, it's prediction time. I'll go first. When I do these predictions, I tend to look at the opponent and see how they lose. Okay, so when you look back at their schedule, and you look at how the Buffalo Bills have lost games this year. Okay, they lost to the Jets in a tight one on the road. That was a really, really bad football game. They lose on a punt return, so I tend to toss that one out. I look at that Jacksonville game in London. They lose 25-20, but that was really not indicative of the type of game that it was. Jacksonville kind of softly dominated them, meaning, the Bills scored last to draw closer on a 2-score deficit. So they kind of got softly dominated. New England, same thing. They lose 29-25. New England was nursing a 2-score lead that entire game.
Mm-hmm.
Cincinnati, the same thing. 24-18. Cincinnati was nursing a 2-score game, a 2-score lead the whole game. Denver was back and forth, and Denver pulls it out at the end. Philadelphia was an epic game. You know what? I'm going to lean back on that Jacksonville game. I'm going to lean on that Cincinnati game. I'm going to lean on that New England game. Okay? All three of them on the road, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to lean on those 3 games, and I'm going to say that Miami is going to win one of those softly dominated games on Sunday night. It won't be back and forth. It won't be high scoring. It won't be ugly like that Jets game. I think softly dominating, let's say 27-20, with a minor anxious moment at the end. So 27-20, Miami wins.
That's a tough one. I think that this is, listen, I'm as close to 50-50 on this game. I'm pretty close to 50-50 on this game just because of the injury decimation. And, sometimes when a team has what happened to them last week happen, they bounce back. And Miami's shown a good tendency this year 4 times to bounce back after losses. But sometimes also it's that the other team found something and opened you up, and it takes you a while to figure out how to close it back again, how to get right on defense, for example. So I'm pretty close to 50-50 on this one because Josh Allen does have a tendency to, against the Miami Dolphins, to bring out his best. So, I'm close to 50-50, but I think that itself is better than where I should be, after last week's loss and with the streak that the Buffalo Bills are on, even with it being a road game, even acknowledging, for example, that the Buffalo Bills are only 3-4 on the road. They don't have a winning record on the road. But, I think based on how the teams have been performing lately, I normally would, oh boy, this is going to be a tough one for Miami. But, and particularly since Miami is going to be in the playoffs no matter what, and the Buffalo Bills are putting on their side, they're fighting for their playoff lives. Like you said, if the Pittsburgh Steelers beat Tyler Huntley, the quarterback, backup quarterback, not Lamar Jackson, but if they beat him and if the Jacksonville Jaguars win their game.
And by the way, for those, rolling their eyes right now, they already beat Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, the Pittsburgh Steelers beat Lamar Jackson, so now they're going to
all they got to do is
Huntley.
beat his backup now.
Yeah, now they're going to play Huntley, and the Ravens have it sewed up, right? There's a reason Lamar Jackson's not up there. So, if the Pittsburgh Steelers win that game, and the Jacksonville Jaguars win their game against the against the Tennessee Titans, then Buffalo's out, right? So they are fighting for their playoff lives in this game. Miami Dolphins have already clinched the playoffs. So there is a way that you could look at this game and say, of course Buffalo's going to win, And so I think that we have to be cognizant of that. That's why I'm a little bit more toward 50-50. But I will say overall, honestly, in all honesty, having seen this team all season long, seen them on Hard Knocks, seen the way that they react to losses. And I mean, even on Hard Knocks, just behind the scenes, everything, it drives them crazy. It really drives them crazy. And then that coach has managed to harness that and get solid performances out the following game. Seeing that and seeing how this is a home game, and Miami, the only home game that Miami ever has lost with this head coach quarterback combination was that Tennessee game where they had it sewn up, and then they let their foot off the gas for literally 2 minutes, and that's all it took. I think home and bounce back are too strong here, but I don't think it's going to be a solid victory. I think it's going to be a muddy one, and I think that's 23-20.
All right, and we're going to call it right there. The next time we talk to you, we will have results in hand, and we will talk about the game, and we will look forward to the playoffs. Will Miami be at home as the 2 seed and the newly minted AFC East champions, or will they be traveling to Kansas City as the 6th seed to number 3 seeded Taylor Swift and her favorite football team? But till then,
thanks for listening to 3 Yards Per Carry. You can subscribe via iTunes, on Podbean, or your usual podcast provider.
The new year feels like a fresh start, but you've probably learned by now that New Year's resolutions are rarely life-changing. But here's a life-changing resolution you can make today and keep. Prioritizing your mental health with Talkspace. By putting your mental well-being first, good things follow. Less stress, better relationships, maybe even better health and career success. Talking to a therapist at Talkspace can give you the support you need to make the changes you want. Just go to Talkspace.com to be matched with a therapist. And since you meet your therapist online, you won't have to take time off work or arrange childcare. You'll meet whenever and wherever you feel most at ease. So go headfirst into 2024 by committing to therapy. Talkspace is here for you. And Talkspace works with most insurers. So most insured members only pay a $25 copay or less. No insurance? No problem. Now get $80 off your first month when you go to Talkspace.com. Match with a licensed therapist today at Talkspace.com. Talkspace.com.
I'm getting vaccinated with Prevnar 20, a Pfizer vaccine.
So am I, because I'm at risk for pneumococcal pneumonia.
If you're 19 or older with chronic conditions like asthma, diabetes, COPD, or heart disease, or are 65 or older, you are at increased risk for pneumococcal pneumonia. Ask your doctor or pharmacist about Prevnar 20, pneumococcal 20-valent conjugate vaccine. It can help protect you against pneumococcal pneumonia in just one dose. Even if you've already been vaccinated with other pneumonia vaccines, Prevnar 20 may help provide added protection. Prevnar 20 is approved for adults to help prevent infections from 20 strains of the bacteria that cause pneumococcal pneumonia. Continued approval may depend on a supportive study. Don't get Prevnar 20 if you've had a severe allergic reaction to the vaccine or its ingredients. Adults with weakened immune systems may have a lower response to the vaccine. Side effects include pain and swelling at the injection site, fatigue, headache, muscle, and joint pain. For full prescribing information, please call 1-855-213-2138 or visit Prevnar20.com.